Creature feature number 2, Freshwater Angelfish. What's going on, everybody? Metalhead Prime here with Creature Feature episode 2. And in this episode we will cover the Freshwater Angelfish. And here we have two. We have the marble angelfish known as Two-Face. Quite the character. Awesome colors. And there you can kind of see why we call him Two-Face. He's kind of dual colored. Anyways, behind him you can see the zebra veiltail mix that we named Ghost. Also a very cool specimen. And pretty good size too when you add the tail in. But we're going to cover that here in just a minute. Well, let's just go right ahead and jump into tank size. And you'll get some mixed opinions about this one. But typically I've found anywhere from 50 gallons and up. And that's going to give them plenty of head and tail space, I guess you could say, because these fish are kind of different than your average fish, obviously. And you can see that there are many different kinds just in the two that I have here. We have the marble fish, which fins aren't that wide, but the body is wider on this one. Versus the veiltail next to him on the left has longer fins. And I mean, those things are long. The camera really doesn't do it justice. That would be the equivalent of putting a saucer in there. You know, a dinner plate or something. Not quite that huge, but that fish is nearly 10 inches when you add the fins in. So putting it in a 10-gallon tank, probably not a great idea once you factor in the substrate and the decorations and whatever you put in that tank. That's not giving that fish very much room to stretch. Now here they're in a 200-gallon tank. That tank's 3 feet by 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 3 feet. You get the idea. That's a big tank. Plenty of room for them to stretch. Plenty of room for them to explore, hide if they feel it necessary, or whatever. So just keep that in mind, especially if you're going after the more fancier kind of angelfish versus the not so fancy or shorter finned. You can get away with a little bit more with them. But with the longer fins, like you can see right there, that fish is huge as far as an angelfish goes. So you just want to be mindful of the surroundings that you put it in. Now you don't have to jump out and put them in a 200-gallon tank. Anything over a 50-gallon is going to be just fine. Even a 40-gallon you could probably get away with. So let's talk plants. You want to make sure you put them in with good rooted plants. Now I know in this video is probably not a great example of that because you see a lot of die-off here. But we all know the history with this tank. We all know those things are coming back, especially the Amazon swords that Two-Face is hiding behind. And there's some more over there. But there's also some other plants in there that aren't as heavily rooted as the swords or the Anubias that's in there. So you kind of want to be mindful about what you put in there, because angelfish are cichlids and they can root. But there is tricks around that, and I will get into that. But yes, you can put them in with plants. It actually kind of helps them with breaking up the decor, I guess you could say, and it gives them kind of a little spot to just go hide in. If they need to get away, it's kind of like if you're at work and the boss is on you and you got to go to the bathroom. So, you know, it kind of just gives them a little break here and there. But yes, you can put them in with plants. So since we alluded to it, let's go ahead and jump into feeding them. Freshwater angelfish are omnivores. So they will eat live, they will eat dried, they will eat frozen, they will eat just about anything that you put in there. My guys get Extreme Community Crave, which is a mixture of krill flakes and spirulina flakes. Pretty awesome. These guys tend to go pretty crazy over it. So as you can see, there's a very big variety of things that you can feed them. flakes, granule, pellets, frozen, live, freeze-dried. They're gonna eat it, they're gonna love it. Just depends basically on the environment that you're putting them in or the purpose that you have. Heavily planted tanks, obviously you want to have some sort of plant in that food that you're giving them. It's just gonna help. I lucked out with these two guys. They don't do a lot of rooting or biting at plants or any of that. They pretty much like to just hide in them. But with that being said, I have been proven wrong before and I can be again. So who knows, there might be an update on this video. We'll see. Alright, well let's shift gears a bit. We'll jump into filtration / water quality. So right off the bat, I'm just going to say it. The experts will say you need to have between 6 to 7 pH. Now, you guys all know me. I am not a pH chaser. Basically, the same water that I'm getting the fish from at my local fish stores is the same water coming out of the tap. Now, you have to be careful. Sometimes they do have particular fish in RO water, and literally all you have to do is ask them. So, and a lot of times they're going to tell you it's RO water. If it's RO water, then yes, you need to make sure the environment you're putting them in matches what they're coming out of. But if it's not RO water, if the fish store is running tap water, well, guess what? Their pH is the same quality as your pH. Now, out in the wild, where these fish are found, that is a different story. Yes, the pH is different there, but not here, not with local grown or the fish that you can get at the fish store. It's a different thing. So don't drive yourself nuts by chasing pH. Also, filtration. You need to keep it to moderate to low flowing water. So here you can see just a little bit of movement. Basically, the water in this tank is being filtered by a wet dry, which the tank is drilled at the bottom. Right behind that little pillar you can see in the middle of the tank, and it's feeding in by gravity, and then it's being brought back out by a pump. That's it. That's all there is to it. You need to keep them between 75 to 85. These guys are at 77. This tank is naturally heated by the register that's directly under it, which I got super lucky on placement. But with that being said, I don't know what these snails are doing. But with that being said, this tank, where it's at, was going to stay room temperature regardless. So I lucked out there. That's the one tank I have that I don't have to run a heater on. So as far as filtration and water quality goes, these guys are super, super, super easy to take care of. Well, let's just get into everybody's favorite subject here. Let's get right into sexing the fish. So with freshwater angelfish, there are at least 3 different variants, which by variants I mean body styles. The heads are shaped a little bit different. Now, if you go by what you usually go by with cichlids, you're going to look for a hump on the head. Size is going to be a big factor, and clearly Ghost is larger than Two-Face when you add the fins in. But Two-Face is larger when you add the body. So, kind of tricky to sex these guys. I'm sure there's breeders out there going, nope, you've got 2 females, or whatever, you know. Like I said, I am not a real renowned expert on sexing angelfish. Or really any fish for that matter. There's not enough berry white in the world for that. Anyways, okay, lame joke. But anyways, here I'm trying to give you a visual size reference, and it didn't work because they are like, nope, let's go swim over here. Anyways, so a few things you can do once they're about a year or more older. You can look for obvious signs. I have seen some angelfish that have huge bulges on their heads. Obviously, those are males. Usually the larger sized fish, especially if they have a bulge on their head, they're usually a male. But keep in mind with angelfish, there's 3 different variations at least. So it might not be so easy to tell with these guys. Another thing you can do, like you can do with many other fish, look at their anus. Is it bulging outward? If it's bulging outward with an angelfish, 9 times out of 10 you got a female there. Also, the other dead giveaway is if they're laying eggs. It's usually a pretty good sign that that's a female. So, not a whole lot to jump into here with sexing them, but I'm sure that there's breeders out there that are just tearing me apart right now. Which, it's fine. These are all my opinions. But, anyways, I hope that segment maybe helps you, but if not, I understand. So, let's jump into random breeding facts from the web when it comes to angelfish. And I can't believe I just said web. It hasn't been called web since like 93 when it came out. The internet. Anyways, I am not a breeder of angelfish. I am not going to claim to be an expert in this department. So yes, I looked it up. And one, I knew they were egg-laying fish. I knew they weren't mouth brooders like African cichlids. And I know they're not live bearers like guppies, which I do happen to breed purely by accident. But I was not aware that this particular kind of fish can drop 500 to 600 eggs per spawning session. That kind of blew me away. Oh, that's pretty impressive for a fish their size. I mean, they're not the smallest fish, but they're also not the biggest fish. So that kind of blew me away. But I also try to keep in mind that just because they lay that many eggs doesn't mean all of them are going to get fertilized. And that's with any kind of fish, not just them. But if you are thinking about potentially breeding angelfish, but you need to ask a question or something, please feel free to reach out to me, because I do know people that do breed them, and they are very, very good at breeding them. And they aren't going to act like a gatekeeper. If I ask them a question, they'll answer me, or I can at least put you in contact with them. So if that's something you're wanting to get into, then, you know, don't hesitate to ask. And I will get you directed towards the right person, or I can ask the question for you, however you want to do it. But, you know, I was just blown away by the fact that they lay that many eggs. Now, I'm sure there's other fish that are egg layers that probably lay 3 times the amount of eggs, or 4, or whatever. But I was just astonished. I don't know why that hit me so hard with these fish, but it blew me away. And I figured I'd share it with you guys. So let's get to my favorite subject of angelfish, and that is tank mates. Why is that my favorite subject? Well, I'm going to answer 2 questions here, because I'm sure some of you are probably going, why are they in the cube tank? That's for discus. Yes, you're right. And yes, that is still happening. But my main reason for doing this is because they are extremely versatile for community fish. You can put them with just about any kind of community fish that you can think of. You can put them with mollies, you can put them with guppies, you can put them with cories, you can put them with tetras, you can put them with goldfish even. You can already hear the sirens now. Here come the fish police. No, I've done it. So this is my personal experience with these. In fact, these 2 particular fish have been with just about all of those. And they did just fine. They didn't chase them around. They didn't nip at them. Honestly, these 2 fish are extremely cool-mannered. It probably also helps the size of the tank that they're in. They're not fighting for space. There's plenty of stuff to break up the line of sight. Once the foliage in this tank takes off, it's gonna be nuts in there. And the discus are going to have plenty of room to break away and hide if they need to. These guys are going to have plenty of room, plenty of hiding areas. And the other fish that I plan on putting in here, and I'm not going to get into that because, well, that's just a surprise. So yes, to answer your question, yes, they're in the cube tank. And that's why. Because they can also get along with discus. So why would you not put those two angelfish in this particular tank? It's just, it's my thing. But anyways, guys, I'm going to wrap the video up here. I thank you all for sticking around this long and watching. If you like the video, feel free to drop the like button. And if you have a comment or you want to make fun of me, that's fine too. Or if you want to say, hey man, you're doing this way wrong, feel free. I can take criticism. Also, if you just stumbled upon this video and you're not subscribed yet, we would love to have you as part of the mayhem. So feel free to hit that subscribe button and hit that little bell next to it, because that just tells you when more mayhem hits the airwaves or internet. I won't call it web again. I won't date myself here. Anyways, guys, thank you all for sticking around this long. I appreciate it. And if you don't do anything this week, the only thing I want you to do is stay metal.